All right, everyone, 6:30 p.m., January 7th, 2020. All right, it's 6:30 p.m. on January 7th, 2026. This is Chair David Nagaji calling to order. Anson, please do a roll call.
Okay, when I call your name, please respond. Zane?
Here.
Okay, Watson?
Online?
Okay, nope, she's not online. Bozo? Here. Okay, Nagaji? Of course. Fukumoto? Okay, Fields?
Here.
Okay. Lee?
Rice, beans, and chicken.
Lee?
Here.
Okay. Chong?
Here.
Okay.
But your oven's
Moylan?
You can cook it outside.
Okay, Sophia? Okay. Guano? Nope. Okay. Fox? Okay. Moylan's here. Okay. And Masharkey? Okay. We have quorum.
And one's here. All right. Thank you, Anson. All right, going to Roman numeral number 2, first responder monthly reports, Honolulu Fire Department. Oh, in person.
Good evening, everybody. Captain Chris Edwards from Mānoa Fire Station. I'll go over the statistics and then the monthly safety tip. The incident statistics for December, we had 4 activated alarms with no fire, 48 medical alarms, 7 motor vehicle collisions, and 1 hazmat incident. And the fire safety tip this month is about electrical safety in the home. And basically the things I'm going to go over are what we would check on when we do a commercial inspection, but of course we're not coming and doing inspections in anybody's homes. But these are the same kind of standards that we look for in businesses, and these are things that you should also keep in mind at home. So plug only one heat producing appliance, such as a coffee maker or toaster, into a wall receptacle outlet at a time. Major appliances such as refrigerators, dryers, stoves should be plugged directly into a wall receptacle outlet. Extension cords and power taps and strips should not be used. Check electrical cords to ensure they are not running across doorways or under carpets. Extension cords are intended for temporary use. Have a licensed electrician install additional outlets to eliminate using extension cords as permanent wiring. And ensure electrical work is performed by a licensed electrician. That's it.
Right. Any questions or comments for Honolulu Fire Department? Anyone online? Right. Going once, going twice. All right. Thanks for coming in. We'll see you again next month.
Thank you.
All right. Going now to Honolulu Police Department.
Aloha, Lieutenant Taro Nakamura with the Police Department. Okay, let's see. Motor vehicle thefts. This is for December as compared to the previous month. Motor vehicle thefts were 11 as compared to 8. Burglaries were 5 as compared to 1. Thefts in general were 9 as compared to 12. And UEMVs, which is theft from auto, was 5 as compared to 3. It's out a total calls of service of 5,968 for the district. And further statistical information can be found at honolulupd.org. And our safety tip for the month, since it's been raining a lot this last couple of weeks, is driving in the rain. So just remember, when we have a dry spell and then it starts raining, the actual most dangerous time to drive is right after that dry spell. When the rain starts falling, it picks up all the dirt and grime and oils on the ground and takes it to the top. So just please be aware of that. Just allow more time and drive with aloha. And then when you can, if you go through a deeper puddle, just tap your brakes so you get the water off your brakes. So just in case you have to do an emergency stop. And that's our safety tip for the month.
All right. Any questions or comments for Honolulu Police Department? Anyone in person? Anyone online? David S., please go ahead.
Yeah, this request is to for the lieutenant. I live right next to the University of Hawaii, and I'm impacted by the exiting of all the traffic during events at university, especially during athletic events, including graduations. We have a driveway that is periodically encumbered or hindered by the people who are the officers off duty. Can you relay to the special duty section head that we'd like to request that the police officers not block our driveway or hinder the use of our driveway? This has been continuing on for the past 2 years.
So where do you live, sir?
We live actually right past the corner of Wailea Avenue and Kalele Road.
Wailea and Kalele?
Yeah.
Oh,
we
so the
live
backside,
about-
yeah.
Yeah, we live on the mountain side of the roadway. The Mackay side is
Okay,
the
and the specific driveway, of course, I'll pass this information on to the
yeah.
special duty sergeant. But what's
next
the
to our-
address for the driveway? So I can just tell him,
Yeah,
hey,
it's next to a large mango tree, the only mango tree on Kalele Road.
only
So,
mango tree. And then what's your address, sir?
2760.
2760.
Yeah.
Kalele, yeah?
Yeah.
I'll
Some
definitely
officers
pass that
have
on.
been very cooperative, but periodically we've finding somebody who thinks that we're not home.
Sure,
we've
I'll
had
pass the
a-
information on to the special duty section.
Appreciate it. Thank you very much, Lieutenant.
All right, any other questions or comments for HPD? Member Savio? Use the microphone.
Thank you, Chair. I would just like to ask if anyone else besides me was having a lot of difficulty understanding what this gentleman was saying just now. Did everyone understand him perfectly? Okay. I couldn't see his face. All I could see was a dark blob. I couldn't see his mouth. And I didn't see a name, I didn't hear a name or anything, and I basically didn't understand anything he said. So I'm just going on the record about that. Thank you.
All right, any other questions or comments for Honolulu Police Department? Member Fox, go ahead.
This ain't working. Yay. I want to thank the police department. I took my husband to the airport and told him we didn't have enough gas in the car. And he said, oh, no, you're fine. So guess what? Dropped him off at the airport, drove all the way back, trying to get to that gas station on the corner of Wilder and Metcalf. Didn't quite make it. Car died at Punahou and Metcalf and Wilder. The police department so kindly came out and pushed my car across the street to the entrance of Punahou School. I have never seen a police department this kind. It was just, thank you. Amazing aloha.
Thank you, Member
Thank you, sir.
Fox.
Thank you for your support.
All right, any other questions or comments for HPD? Anyone online? All right. Just one more thing before you go, Lieutenant. There's a community member who wanted me to request the HPD come in person just because apparently they want to be able to talk to you in person when the camera isn't on if they have things they want to discuss. Just passing along a community request that HPD sends someone in person.
Okay, I'll pass that on to the captain. Unfortunately, the 6:30 time slot, this is right when we have lineup. So I'm actually a midnight watch lieutenant. And so I'm starting my shift and then the day watch guys end their shift. But it's an internal problem with HPD. But I'll pass that on and we'll see if we can get somebody to start going in person if that's what you guys want. But please understand, we might miss more if we have to go in person. It's a lot easier to do it online.
All right. Thank you, Lieutenant. We'll see you again next month. Thanks.
Okay, take care. Aloha.
All right, going to see monthly reports, Board of Water Supply, Dominic Diaz.
Good evening, Dominic Diaz, Honolulu Board of Water Supply. Real quick, no main breaks in the month of December to report, so happy about that. Also wanted to report that the Kakela Drive and Mohalaway water system improvement project is 100% complete. So it's just pending some final closeout, final billings, final closeout reports. The construction is complete though. If you were watching the news, you may have noticed the Board of Water Supply has partnered with the Department of Environmental Services and is increasing our rebate program. So residential rebate program includes $150 rebates for Energy Star rated clothes wash machines, $200 for water sensible toilets, and up to $400 for smart water monitors, so irrigation system controls and other smart water monitor systems. There's more information on our website, boardofwatersupply.com/rebates, if anybody's interested. We do also have commercial level rebate programs as well, so for condominiums and commercial businesses. That said, I'd be happy to take any questions on behalf of the Board of Water Supply at this time.
All right, any questions or comments for Board of Water Supply or Dominic Diaz? All right, going once, going twice. All right, thanks, Dominic. We'll see you again next month.
All right, thank you.
All right, going now to Mayor Blangiardi's office.
Good evening, Gavin Thornton here on behalf of the mayor. Just reporting back on a question that Member Watson had raised about wanting to change the verbiage of the stop sign on the four-way intersection, Oahu Avenue, Manoa Road, and Lowry Avenue, asking that the current wording of always stops be changed back to five-way stop. DTS responded, just clarifying, I think they responded previously, clarifying there's a federal requirement that they have to follow. I printed out the language and brought it, and it's very clear. It says at intersections where all approaches are controlled by stop signs, an all-way supplemental plaque shall be mounted below each stop sign. And then it says explicitly supplemental plaques with legends such as two-way, three-way, four-way, and other numbers of ways shall not be used with stop signs. So it seems pretty definitive. Regret that we can't be of assistance there. Welcome any other issues or questions you might have.
All right, thanks for following up on that. Are there any other questions or comments for the mayor's office? Member Sapio?
So did they give any rationale for that prohibition?
Not that I saw. I'm sure buried somewhere in the federal regulations, there might be something. I'd be happy to share this little sheet that I printed out, but that's all I know.
All right, thanks. Any other questions or oh, I see Member Koff on Zoom. Please go ahead.
Yes, my question is this: any word on when the Manoa pool might open up again?
I don't know the answer to that, but I'd be happy to look into it.
Thank you.
Hey, this is Heath, Councilmember Nishimoto's office. I can actually field that one. So I just actually talked to DPR about this today. They are aiming to complete it either beginning of March or the end of February. But they need a dry spell to have the paint set, which was kind of the problem with what happened last time. So it could be pushed back just based on weather, but they're aiming to complete at the end of February or the beginning of March. Thanks.
Thanks,
Thank
Steve.
you.
All right, and Brett Kurshige, go ahead.
Actually, I had another DPR related question, Manoa Valley Park. About a year ago, I asked the mayor's rep at that time the status for the resurfacing of the tennis courts at Manoa Valley Park, and was told that we're #1 on the list and that by October, this past October, it should have been resurfaced. Hasn't been yet, so I'm just inquiring about that. And also, I understand that the gym and the weight room are supposed to open, but no dates as yet. So those were my questions to each other.
Great. I'll be happy to follow up.
All right. And up to the microphone.
Microphone, please. You're addressing.
So you had said with the stop sign. So what if there's another pole that has five-way stop? It's not with the stop sign. That's my.
All right. Any other questions or comments for the mayor's office? Anyone online? All right. Looks like there aren't any more. All right. Thanks for coming in. We'll see you again next month. And going now to City Council Member Scott Nishimoto's office. I saw Keith on earlier. Please go ahead.
Hey, everybody. Happy New Year. Not a ton to report. We did get the board's resolution transmitted to us, and we followed up with a riser to the admin about adding the additional stop signs. The one that you guys drafted back in November. So we followed up with a riser on that. Also, we've been doing park cleanups around the district in conjunction with DPR. And I was hoping maybe Dave, if you could suggest a good month to do one at Manoa District Park that maybe some of the board members would be available to, if they wish. But you can just email me.
All
Is that
right.
all right?
Sure. I guess we can ask people if there's any months that they prefer, but we'll just open up in general for questions or comments to Keith. Member Fox, go ahead.
Hello. I had notified the councilman's office regarding some homeless problems that we have, and I'm going to reiterate it again. To the entrance of this beautiful valley of Mānoa, we have a homeless people, two guys, hanging out, making a tent, making an encampment on the corner of Wilder and Metcalf on public property. It's not on the private property of Hele gas station. And they've been there for a good 6 months. I called the police department. They went out, nothing. They're not mentally disturbed. They can't be picked up because of that. But there's got to be some sort of a law that we have in the books that you just cannot hang out at a gas station where people get out of their cars this is just not common sense. Also, we have an older homeless guy on the corner of Beretania and McCully. He's been there for 3.5 years that I know of, and I drive by there every single day. And he usually is in front of the Chevron, what is it, Chevron station, I think? Yeah, yellow shell sign, whatever. So they shove him off of the public sidewalk in front of their Shell station. So he goes to Territorial Savings Bank next door, which is sort of a gray colored brick building, and doesn't even move his mess. I mean, it's just a mess. So my response from the city was this: we sent somebody out there, but we couldn't pick him up for whatever law was happening there. And I think, okay, I don't get that, but it's okay. So he's not mentally ill, although I would suggest to you that anybody who's 70 years old with hair down to his waist and looks as thin as a rail probably has a mental problem. Nonetheless, I went to the Shell station because I'm just that kind of guy. And I went to the Territorial Savings Bank because I'm just that kind of guy. They both have called so many times, they're exhausted. And it's interfering with their business. And unfortunately, I have to tell you something. As a businessman, that's an intentional interference with business. And that is a law. I want the council member to take an action on this and not be casual about it. This is the entrance to our valley. And we should be representing in a much better fashion. And I'm not anti-homeless, but I'm saying, you know what? Then get people there who are mental health advocates and say, hey, you can't be here. Let's take you over here, get you a nice shower. Let's do it. Show them the services that we have. Don't just take no for an answer. For God's sake, how would you verify if somebody's insane or not with a casual sentence? So I'm expecting some good results out of the council member. Thank you.
Member Sophia, go ahead. Go to the microphone. Okay.
I just wanted to ask you if you could repeat where this homeless person is? So I know which one you're talking about.
There are two homeless people I'm concerned about. Actually, there's three. Two of them have made a gray tent encampment on the corner of Metcalf and Wilder Avenue at the Hele gas station. But they're on public property. They're not on the Hele gas station. They've already kicked them out of the gas station parking lot. The other one is a homeless guy on the corner of Veritania and McCully at the Shell station and the Territorial Savings Bank area. He's been there for 3.5 years, not budged. Thank you.
Just
Right,
reiterating that city employees were dispatched to both locations in response to your complaint, Member Fox.
So
I get that. I'm just not satisfied with the response. And as a citizen, I have a right to complain about the response. I was very involved with the homeless situation in Long Beach, California. We built a multi-service center for the homeless and I funded it. So here's the thing. We've got to do more. You can't just let people die on the sidewalk.
all right. Any other questions or comments for the councilman's officer for Heath? Brett, go ahead.
Just fortuitously, you're talking about the same topic I was going to bring up, but in a different part of Manoa, and it's been raised before in the Manoa Valley Park, there are homeless folks that they camp out in the scorekeeper sheds at the baseball fields. And maybe if you guys go and do the cleanup, you could take a look because they often leave their items. They store them in those sheds and in the nearby, ball stands, ballpark stands. But I think because it's on city property, right? The police should be able to prevent that from happening, from camping out there. And just today, I saw people there. So, I would appreciate if they could step up the enforcement within the park so that it's cleaned up. Kids play there, it's used by the public. So let's keep it clean.
We can follow up with DPR on that. Thanks.
All right. Any other questions or comments for Councilman or for his representative? Member Savio?
Just wanted to add, I'm sure you're aware, Robert, that it's a tenuous tightrope that has to be walked with the homeless, not to violate their civil rights. And that if that happens, it sets a precedent for all of us to have our civil rights violated. And we really don't want people being, forcibly given injections on the street. And we don't want people being taken in against their will if they're actually not an immediate danger to others or themselves. And that's the threshold now. And I think it's better for it to stay that way than for us all to be on a slippery slope to lose our civil rights. So I just felt like I had to say that.
I appreciate that.
No, sorry.
We
gonna
are
move on.
walking a very fine line here.
So Member
But
Fox,
the police
you're
don't.
not recognized right now, but yeah, I don't want to get too much into that. But so I'll just say very briefly to the mayor's representative about the park cleanup thing. My preferred months would probably be March or April, and it wouldn't be on a weekend. But I can have Anson send out an email to ask the board as a whole, and we can get back to you on that. But
Thanks,
anyway,
Jerry.
any other questions or comments before we let the councilman's representative go? All right. Oh, I see someone in the back. You gotta come to the microphone.
It's for record keeping and for everybody online. That's why we have everybody come up to the mic, please.
State your name and stuff.
Aloha ahi ahi kako. My name is John Quincy Adams, and I grew up in Manoa Valley and moved around Oahu over the years and back home now for the past 7 years, Upper Manoa. And, speaking of civil rights, I believe we taxpayers, homeowners, have civil rights too. And we don't need, you know, you mentioned you're not against homeless people. Well, I understand the situation. I kind of sort of am. You know, I don't want them in my yard or front yard or street. Sorry, you know. And we have to have infrastructure. You mentioned back on the mainland there was infrastructure. Yeah, we have to have infrastructure. We just can't say you can't squat here, you can't camp here, you can't block the sidewalk here. We need infrastructure. And they either have to go to rehabilitation if they're alcoholics or drug addicts, or they got to go to a homeless shelter, or they got to go to jail because they can't camp in my front yard. Sorry, you know, and fortunately they're not. I wouldn't allow it. And I'm really glad to see that I don't see any major problems at Mānoa Pavilion, because I lived at Makaha for 35 years. And if that Mānoa Pavilion was at Makaha, it would be all homeless people. And why it's not enforced, I don't know. But it's very difficult to enforce if you don't have infrastructure for their help. They need help. They need rehab. They need a home. They need, you know, they need jobs. You just can't say you can't be here or write them a ticket. They don't have any kala to pay. Mahalo nui loa.
All right. Thank you, Keith. We'll see you, or we'll see the councilman again next month. Thanks. All right. Going now to state monthly reports. Senator Carol Fukunaga.
Evening, everyone. Happy New Year. And I'm really very encouraged. This year in Manoa and Makiki, there were a lot less fireworks. So I'm very hopeful at this point. You know, I know that it seemed as though we still did have fireworks in and around, you know, the night skies. But when we checked with a lot of our Department of Law Enforcement, HPD, Department of Emergency Services folks, they were very pleased with the reduction, and they were very happy that people were calling in tips. So even though this is not, you know, kind of like a dramatic reduction, I'm really happy to see that, you know, more people were playing it safe, and we didn't have as much illegal activity as we have had in the past. So you have my report. Happy to answer any questions.
Member Moylan?
Yes, you were kind enough to offer to carry a bill that might help us out with our core requirements and stuff like that, and suggested that if the board endorsed it, that would help it. Do you have a number for that?
Oh, no, the bills have not been introduced yet.
Okay.
So the draft that I sent you has a footer number. And so that's how we refer to it until the bill gets introduced.
Should we be waiting until after it's introduced before we put on the agenda, we endorse Bill X, or should we use the footer number and do it next
I
month?
think you can just use the title of the bill. That would be fine, because what we have found is for the first committees, you know, in the legislative process, we have a really short time frame in which to have hearings on bills. So if, you know, the chairs have a lot of bills referred to their committees, if there's no real expression of support, then the likelihood that that bill is going to get scheduled for a hearing is that much lower. So generally, I send a request to the chair of a committee, and I'll ask, you know, that the bill be scheduled for a hearing. And on my end, it would certainly help if we can say the neighborhood board supports
Right.
this, et cetera. And so then that way, it, you know, makes it a little easier to say to the chair, this is something that does have a lot of merit, it does have support, and we hope that you'll hear it.
Okay, I can dig it up from my emails. You don't happen to remember the title of it off the top of your head, do you?
Sorry.
I wouldn't expect you to. That's all right. That would have been extra credit.
Introduce Hector Venegas, who has joined our staff this year on a part-time basis. And so we would be happy to email you that information.
All right. Any other questions or comments for Senator Fukunaga? Anyone online? Going once, going twice? Oh, Member Bosa, please go ahead.
I'm not sure whether, since you brought up the fireworks, do you know, apart from, I know they were using drones the night of, was that before and after? I heard about like 15 or 16 aerials go off, I think on the day in the evening. And I'm wondering, I assume they weren't flying drones all night that night. Was there another way that people could monitor or report other than a neighbor telling on a neighbor or something?
I think what Department of Law Enforcement and HPD did was they relied upon people to call in on their tip line. People did not have to identify themselves. And based on prior experience, they've identified some of the neighborhoods, with the highest level of activity. So in my former council district, Kalihi Valley, Kalihi, other areas than Makiki or Manoa were probably a lot more active. And so I think the drones were deployed in areas like Pearl City, so that Pearl City, Eva, Waipahu, et cetera, they did want to get as broad coverage as they could get. But I think they found that, the people who were lighting illegal fireworks were also, anticipating the drone activity. So they said that when they launched their drones, oftentimes the fireworks would only be popped for a very short time and then they would stop. And so then for the drone operators, they couldn't just stay in one area for an hour or more. So it was kind of a cat and mouse game, but they did collect a lot of drone footage. And they also have said that with a lot of the social media postings that were shared, that evening, a lot of kind of community news sources, they believe that over time, those locations where fireworks are being deployed from can also be referred to the Attorney General's office for prosecution. And, similar to what the HPD did with illegal game rooms, once they began to put property owners on notice that they could become liable and held responsible for illegal activity on their property, that was, something that has really made a big difference on the city end. So I think it's, it's progress. I think the fact that people participated and tried to, provide tips in instances where they could provide at least the roadways, which areas. Is it falling? But I think they really felt that this was a good first step. And I think they were gratified that as many people called in during the evening as they did. And so it's a work in progress, but definitely they all worked really hard together to try and coordinate a very comprehensive approach.
It'll be ongoing throughout the year now.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And so I'm sure that, if they do find in some of their continued review of the drone footage that they have evidence, that helps to show where they can strengthen the legislation, I'm sure they'll come back to us with recommendations.
Member Chong?
I have one comment. Before all the aerials were happening, we used to be able to buy things from Longs and, other, that were not firecrackers. I believe the aerial started up when they took away that ability to burn the little fountains and things like that. And so they either had firecrackers or they had to do something else. And that's when the aerials started happening. If you brought back, those little itty bitty things, I think some people would be satisfied with it. It's just that it was taken away. I think it was taken away about 10 years ago or something like that.
The city council did adopt legislation, banning almost all forms of fireworks except firecrackers.
Firecrackers. That's when it started. I believe that's when the aerials started happening, because before that, there wasn't as much. Let's put it that way.
Well, in today's times, those aerials are so dangerous. It really brought home to everyone the fact that, once you light them, or if you have them being deployed by people who are not experienced operators, you can cause a lot of damage. And you saw that last New Year's. So I think at this point, it's kind of a community, mobilization to say, what is it that we want to have to keep Hawaii safe? And so everyone and their families can, celebrate safely. I know on Maui, there was a property owner whose home was damaged by fireworks that had been set off in and around his property. And, they are investigating that particular case. And in many ways, it's just become so dangerous that I think more and more people are recognizing that we have to step forward together to say this kind of behavior is too dangerous for the community. We have to return to some form of safe celebrations.
Member Fox.
Hi there. Thank you. You're always wonderful to come here and give us your stuff. I have a question. Of course, I read Civil Beat a lot. I love that magazine. And they brought up a number of times this bribery issue of $35,000, and it seems to be swept under the street a lot. And I'm wondering when or if our legislature will actually act, because this guy's still working. It's like maybe we need to really, if you expect people to be honest and full of integrity, then you all have to be also. So give me an update. What's going on?
Okay, I'm not familiar with the silver petition. I haven't looked at it, but I do know that members of the Senate who were in office at the time of that particular incident all received emails from Civil Beat reporters this week. And the questions they asked were, I guess, do you know the person? Were you present? Or there were 4 questions that were posed to legislators. And as I understand, the Senate President's office today released a statement to the media saying that of the responses that state senators had provided, none of them indicated any knowledge of or awareness of the individual who was involved. So I was not at the state legislature at that time. I was on the city council. And so, for those of us who weren't there, this has all been very mysterious. But I hope that the more disclosure we have, as among individual houses, that we can kind of put this to rest and kind of move forward.
All right. Any last questions or comments for the senator?
Thank you.
All right. Oh, Member Savio, you gotta go to the microphone.
It's more of a suggestion than a question, I guess. You said that the drone operators have to move around and that they sort of quiet down while they're there and then they start up again. And I was thinking that for the, for the damages and potential injuries and fires that could be prevented, and the more effective dissuasion of people from doing this illegal, dangerous activity, that they should be able to deploy the drones in the high-risk areas for hours during the during the times that it's more likely they're going to be doing them. I don't know how much it costs, but I don't know if they apprehended anybody this time.
I think for law enforcement, HPD, Department of Law Enforcement, and the various agencies, fire department, et cetera, they tried a particular plan of action this New Year's, and they saw what worked and what didn't. And so I think they're regrouping and trying to improve on, how they proceed. And so they're not going to give up. That's the key thing.
Thank you, Senator Fukunaga. We'll see you again next month.
Thank you.
And item B, Representative Andrew Takuya Garrett's office. Is a representative online or anyone from his staff? Representative Garrett. He did mention he might be that he was going to be off island. So in any case, we'll pass that. Go to item C, UH Manoa with Elmer Kai.
Happy New Year, everyone. I have very short presentation today. We start SCOOP next week, Monday, the 12th. So the The traffic, of course, will be a lot more intense during that time frame on. Um, we are working right now on the federal government, the Department of Education and Justice has made a initiative regarding our minority serving programs and so on. So we are actually working with our federal delegation to make sure we can get some idea of what's going to happen with a lot of our programs that impacts Native Hawaiian, Filipino programs, and so on. And on a good note, we start up again in January 28th to the February 16th. Kennedy Theater is having the first production of the year. Please check our Kennedy Theater. We would love to have you on campus and move forward. Also, that chair, I'm open for questions.
Are any questions or comments for Elmer Kai? Member Fox?
Hi, thanks for coming. I live right across the street from the university, at the corner of Miley Way
Yes,
and
I know where
University.
yeah.
So we noticed like a week and a half ago, the alarm systems went off at the Seidler Business School. And they kept going for 2.5 hours. Do people just not know how to click the button, say no more emergency? I mean, just get blasting out for 2.5 hours. It was a little bit irritating. No offense.
No, I get it. We actually had a power surge during that period where it impacted a lot of campus, but I remember that very well. Yes, I'll note it. I think I'll check back with them. Whenever that kind of things happen, we have to do a better job of maintenance and so on. So I'll check and I'll present next month. Yep.
Are any other questions or comments for Elmer? Going once, going twice. Anyone online? All right. Thank you, Elmer. We'll see you again next month.
Aloha.
All right. Going to item D, Governor Josh Green's representative, Lacey Goshi, who's online, I think.
Yes, I'm here. Just a few updates. So the Hawaii Green Infrastructure Authority announced the availability of green energy market securitization loan capital to expand access for nonprofits, small businesses, rural health centers, and Hawaii's underserved ratepayers to participate in the clean energy transition and lower their utility costs. For more information, you can visit gems.hawaii.gov. Also, the State Department of Human Services is encouraging families statewide to participate in the Hawaii Child Wellness Incentive Program, a pilot initiative designed to support regular well-child checkups and strengthen the long-term health of Hawaii's keiki. Through this program, parents enrolled in Medicaid or MedQuest may receive a $50 incentive card for each child who completes a well-child examination once a year. So families can learn more, submit applications, or access customer support at medquest.hawaii.gov. And lastly, as a reminder, the public is encouraged to utilize engage.hawaii.gov to share thoughts and concerns with the Office of the Governor and to view the full January newsletter. It's available at governor.hawaii.gov. That's it for me.
Are any questions or comments for the governor's representative? Anyone in person? Anyone online? All right, seeing here none. Thanks for coming. We'll see you again next month. All right, going out of board business. So first item, filling of vacancies for Subdistrict 4. We have 3 vacancies. Is there anyone here who lives in Subdistrict 4 area who's interested in volunteering? If so, just stand right up or raise your hand. Anyone online? All right, let's look like we have any takers. So passing that. All right, so item B on board business, appointment of a timekeeper. So during previous years, the second vice chair would serve as timekeeper. Currently, we don't have a timekeeper, and I've been trying to timekeep while chairing. It hasn't been going that great. So I'm going to ask that a member of the board volunteer to be timekeeper to help me out with that. So do we have any volunteers to be timekeeper?
I will volunteer. My name is Elton Fukumoto. If I could say a few words, I will call time. Our official amount of time is 1 minute, but we're going to try 90 seconds first. The other thing is that if I call time, I would of course appreciate it if you conclude your remarks at that time. If you feel that you need more time, you can always request more time from the chair at that point. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Member Fukumoto. Anyone else interested in being timekeeper? All right, I don't see anyone else. So with Member Fukumoto as our only volunteer who's interested in being timekeeper, he is now our timekeeper. So thank you, Elton, and I appreciate you volunteering to help me out. All right, so item C. So this is just discussion. We're not going to be having any votes tonight. So this is about permanent changes to the Mānoa Neighborhood Board configuration. So our board can request that the Neighborhood Commission permanently change the configuration of our board seats. And this could entail either reducing the number of total board seats or changing the way that the seats are distributed between the sub-districts. And if we vote on any change here, this would take effect at the beginning of the next 2-year board term, so in about a year and a half. So I know we previously considered a temporary change for this board term only to take effect immediately. This is now considering some sort of change for the long term that would take effect again about a year and a half when the next board term starts. It's mostly because we were having problems a while with getting quorum. So there was some discussion of this back in November, but the discussion got kind of cut short. So I wanted to give more time to discuss this idea. So first, I think we had a lot of discussion from the board last time, but we didn't hear that much from community members. So I'm going to turn it over to members of the community. Is there anyone here who wants to make any comment or any discussion on this? The idea of having less board seats or changing how we distribute them between our sub-districts? Anyone? Or anyone online? Any board members want to? Member Bosel?
Back when we had that vote, I think it was a very full agenda that time, and so I didn't want to bring it up because it had already gone on kind of a long time. I abstained at the time, but I'm happy if the board wanted to revisit that. I don't want to be the reason that it didn't pass. And so if the board wanted to revisit it, I would change my vote to assent for the temporary change to, for this term.
And I guess just as a brief reminder, the motivation behind bringing this agenda item up back in November was that we have a hard time getting quorum, and some sub-districts, especially sub-district 4, tend to have a harder time filling their seats than others. This was about, so this idea will be possibly reducing the number of seats, that sub-district 4 has, having at-large seats to make it easier to hit our quorum numbers, anything of that kind. So do we have any further discussion from board members or community members? Member Moylan?
Yes, we do have an issue with District 4, and interestingly enough, the number of slots for each district is different. Districts 1 and 2 have 3 members each. District 3 has 5, and District 4 is set up for 6. Even though we have a small but avid group of people from sub-district 4 on our committee, you could reduce the problem right away if we just said, how about we make 4 seats from sub-district 4 instead of 6? And then that would immediately take us to only 2 vacancies instead of the 4 that we're usually carrying around, or 3 that we currently have now. That's one of the many options we could have.
Member Fox?
I really agree with Board Member Moylan. When I'm looking at who is on this board at the moment, I'm noticing that we have 3 people in District 1, in Sub-District 1. We have 3 people in District 4. District 2 has 2 people. 3 people. 3 people in 2, great. And 4 has 3 people. Would it be a crime against the world to just limit for our sub-districts 3 members and balance it out? Oh, we have to have an odd number? Okay, yeah, well,
Whatever we want.
I just, I'm one of the crazy board members who actually walks my district all the time. I give parties for Halloween for all of my neighbors and stuff. The kids love it. Slime punch. Nonetheless, going door to door and talking to all these people, nobody has time to be in the neighborhood board. They think it's a waste of time. I convinced Joe to sit on the board. God bless, and thank you for joining our board, but it's not something that just comes up easily, particularly where we have a huge population because of the university. They don't have time. So I'm frustrated here that I can't get a fourth volunteer. Sorry.
All right, Member Sofio?
I have a question. How are the number of seats apportioned? Is it based on the population of the district? Okay, so District 4 has more people in it. Okay. Okay.
Lower Manoa
Well,
has the highest density.
I'm recruiting 2 people in District 4 right now. They haven't committed yet, but I'm going to keep working on them.
All right, any further discussion on this topic? Oh, Brett, go ahead.
Just to reiterate my comments from the last time you discussed it, I really think you should stick with the way it is and just like Ellen's doing, kind of beat the bushes for filling the vacancies. I mean, it's population based, so you don't want to narrow the representation for a particular portion of our district, right? That would be unfair. So I think the best thing is to, keep fighting for people to, represent their area. And I think it'll work itself out. In the meantime, you guys are in a pretty good situation right now. You've got only 3 vacancies, right? Which is pretty good. I'd say press on. Thank you.
All right, thanks, Brett. Member Osel?
I'm not positive on this, but it's very possible that a large percentage of the population of Subdistrict 4 is due to the university students who are technically counted as part of that population, but don't really consider themselves as residents of that district necessarily. And so they're sort of a transient group. Perhaps somebody else knows more whether that's true, I would assume that the census is counting them as in that district. And so I'd say and so it's very possible that reapportioning the votes to be more even between the subdistricts could help to alleviate that, which is a transient population, which I believe the community member over there said something about voting, which may or may not be true, that they're voting and therefore census and, population voting records.
Vanessa, if you're going to talk to the microphone so everyone can hear you.
I know I just can't hear everything that you're saying. If you want to come a little closer or yell a little louder, then okay. I heard voting. Anyways, that's just something to consider in terms of how the population density technically is perhaps not same as in people's spirits, whether they actually, consider themselves as part of that district and therefore, or have the enthusiasm for that neighborhood.
All right. I saw a raised hand from Member Koff. Did you have something to say, Member Koff? I guess not. Okay. Any last comments on this topic before we move on? Oh, Member Fox, you have the last word, and then we're going to move on.
Thank you so much. My concern here is actually efficiency. The larger a board is, the more difficult it is to get things done. 17 people on a board is just hell on earth. Some of our boards in Oahu have only 7 members, and they actually get things done. And I think that we're being very cumbersome at this point. And since it is a struggle, I just thinking, I know you have to have an odd number of folks, right? Why don't you make one at large and then do 3 people per sub-district? That'll give you your even number, and yet we have equal representation of all districts. Is that a good idea?
And sorry, I saw Member Koff come back, so calling Member Koff again.
Yes, I do think it's a good idea. As long as I've been a member of the board, which is pretty much more than 20 years, about going on 20 years now. So as long as I've been a member, we've never had a full board. And so that has always impacted our, things that require majorities and 2/3 votes and so on of board members. And so it sort of affects us. And I think if we reduce the number of members to a sensible amount, we'll get more done. That's my 2 cents.
We're gonna move on. All right. Thanks, Member Koff and Member Fox. I'll just note briefly for the record that currently our numbers are 3 out of 3 in Subdistrict 1, 3 out of 3 in Subdistrict 2, 5 out of 5 in Subdistrict 3, and 3 out of 6 in Subdistrict 4. So we have 14 total. So if everyone here were to be on the board again next term, then we would need 14 seats at least for us to not have to cut someone. But anyway, I'm moving on to the next item. Item D. So this is Member Moylan's item for the most part. It's so I'm going to let him take the lead on this, but essentially it's about the roundabout idea at the 5-way intersection. We previously discussed this at what was it, October or August or something, and we didn't do a vote. We tabled the item so that Member Moylan could do some fact finding on it, and he's done his fact finding and he wants to revisit it. So Member Moylan, take us through what's going on.
Sure. When we had our discussion before, a lot of it focused on we don't know whether it's even possible. So why would we want to make a resolution for something that's not possible? And we had a sort of ambiguous message from the city staff that said it's either impossible or it's very difficult. So of course that makes all the difference. If it's impossible, you drop it. If it's very difficult, you can say, please consider this. That doesn't mean it will necessarily get done, but it might get considered. Thanks to the intervention of Mr. Thornton, I was able to have a meeting with Kelly Akasaki, the city traffic engineer. And she explained to me that in fact, it's possible, but probably difficult. What would have to happen, they're not sure exactly where the public right-of-way boundaries are. And so they'd have to go out and survey it. And there's a good chance that some pieces of property would have to get eminent domain to trim so that they could turn. She actually did 2 drawings for us, one with a circular traffic circle and the other with a sort of oval one. They're both very interesting. So the rest of the proposed resolution would be exactly what you heard some months ago. So the plan would be to add these drawings to the previous one and a little bit of text to explain the background there, and then the board could consider it next month. I'm not going to have to vote on it now. Let me see, what else did I need to say about that? I think that's pretty much it. So if you have any questions or want to give me any particular suggestions as to how to modify the previous document besides adding the answer to the question of whether it can be done or not, which I will do, please let me know. And then next month we can put it on the agenda and we can talk about it.
All right. Member Sophia, go ahead.
Thank you, Chair. Actually, I was just going to sit there so I could get to my mic. So now I'm trying to think what to say. I think, Chris, that obviously you're pushing very hard for this traffic circle, which could set a precedent for other traffic circles in Mānoa Valley. And I just want to, as someone who grew up here and who spent a lot of time studying the Hawaiian history of the valley dating back to the early 1800s, I think this is a historic district and that traffic circles are not going to enhance the process of preserving this historic district.
I just remembered the other thing I forgot to say, which was, I'm sorry that we're delayed in bringing this back to you, but we had 2 committee meetings. By the way, it's the committee that's coming here, not just me. We had 2 committee meetings that did not happen because they were not noticed properly. So we're like 2 months behind where we had hoped to be. So I'm sorry that, it's not as brisk as you would thought. I should also remind you that the intended point is not the reason that this was looked at by the city some years ago, which was concern about traffic fatalities and accidents. It's the huge traffic tie-up that's there every morning and every evening. In fact, that's why I was a little late today. I got hung up at the 5 corners trying to get here. Because as you've all seen, if you've driven through it or ridden a bike through it, as I have, most of the drivers are very good about not wanting to cause an accident. So they pull up to that thing and they kind of look around and they're not sure whose turn it is to go. And so there's these long pauses while there's 4 or 5 cars just kind of sitting there, not knowing what to do. Over the break, I was back on the campus at Stanford University, which has installed about 3 or 4 of those since I last was there. And it was amazing how much more efficient the traffic went through. I mean, I was able to get in and out much quicker there than I am here at home, which didn't used to be the case. There is, of course, already a working traffic circle mentioned in our resolution, but the idea would not be every intersection needs one. Probably every intersection with 5 streets going into it where no one knows what to do might use one. There's another 5-way intersection that has a massive traffic jam every day, but the roads are so big, I'm not sure it could be done. And that's at Komoku Street and Date and Kapiolani Boulevard, right near where I work at the Iolani School. So everyone who drives up on these 2 or 3 lane roads has to sit through like 3 light changes to get through, and all these kids are late for school. A 5-way intersection is just not a very efficient thing to do. And so if we can figure out a way to get the people to where they're going quicker, that would be the rationale behind this.
Any member Fox and Bosel?
I love all the hard work you put into this. I'm not going to support it, and I'll tell you why. We have roundabouts in Long Beach, California, where I keep another house, and it is the worst accident-prone area in the city. Nobody can figure out how to get into the circle and to get out of the circle, and it's always like 2 or 3 lanes going around something, and you're trying to get off on that. You're getting into it, and you're trying to get off on someplace else in the future, and it's like wham! It's just a whole cluster. And the traffic engineer of Long Beach has been trying to get that reversed. Once it's put in place and you do the eminent domain, which is required to do it, you are stuck. P.S. Every person whose property gets eminent domain has a right to sue. And you know what? I can guarantee you in historic Mānoa, we'll get sued. I know it's unfeasible, but more cost effective. I lived in India, went to school there in Bangalore, and they had these cute little traffic guys that stood on a little pillar in the middle and flagged people when they were going. It's like good employment for people, and everybody likes to follow the rules. But I go up to the end of Mānoa Valley every 2 weeks for folk dancing. And I know it may be a problem at 2 times of the day, but this has so many complex issues with it. I can't support it. Sorry.
Mayor Bosel?
I think the thing that would be relevant to a lot of us is whether you could overlay those 2 potential layouts with what would be imminently, it looks like those are already drawn to scale plans. So is both eminent domain land as well as any trees that would be on the chopping block?
Yes, although, as she said, that boundary, they're not exactly sure. They would have to have it surveyed. So they just took an estimate of the little pieces they'd have to take so that the buses that go through there could have enough of a turning radius and stuff like that. But that's on these drawings.
The trees are marked as well?
No, the trees
That's
are
what I'm
not
saying.
marked.
So that's the second point. Trees.
Okay, I wasn't aware that any trees would have to come out for this, but
Well, that's what I'm just saying. It would be helpful to do an overlay and mark the existing trees in that area to double check whether there would be any that would be affected by either of these plans. To me, that would be really relevant information.
Chris, I have a question for you. Where do you live?
You're not, we'll call you later. We'll call you later. So is there anyone else who has any questions or comments on the issue? Anyone online? Oh, Member Fukumoto?
Um, So I think I think this idea might have a problem on the benefit side. So we're weighing the cost versus the benefit. So I don't think that you'll ultimately be saving time if you think of every driver who goes to that intersection. I think the model will be that this is a zero-sum game, that the people who are coming Eva on Lowry may experience a shorter wait time, but that wait time will be increased for people in the other on Oahu, yes. And I would be coming from the back of the valley, and my time will increase because of this particular roundabout, because right now I only have to worry about 2 other streets. But if it's the entire roundabout, I have to worry about 5. And so I have to wait till 5 people come. So I think that's a problem, but you have a month to.
Yeah, I
about
think
it.
that's scientifically impossible, and you're making me nervous that you don't worry about all 5 of the streets when you drive through there. Next time I go through on my bike, I'm going to be really careful.
No, there's a reason for that. And it's because people who are coming into the valley, I'm coming down Oahu Avenue next to Waiole Tea Room. I only have to worry about 2. Yeah, I only have to worry about 2 streams of people coming into who want to go down Manoa Road. And they're the only 2 streams that I have to worry about, because the 3 of us will go down and go downtown. So I don't have to worry about the other 2 streets. Actually, I don't have to worry about 3 other streets.
Well, I won't tie up the meeting anymore with this, but I will do my best to find out how you could be blasting through that 5-way intersection and not be worrying about all the other streets. I know when I go through there, I have to worry about all the other streets.
All right, so moving on, we'll go to Member Koff online. You muted yourself. You have to unmute. So Member Koff, try pressing the space bar. It might help you unmute yourself so we can hear you. Member Koff has a hand up, but she's muted, so we'll come back to her later.
Okay.
There she is.
Excuse me. What I was saying is that there's a scheme. You don't worry about every car in there. You're worrying about the car on your left. You have to give him the right of way as you're driving. So it's not a mystery kind of situation. It's not that difficult. That's why and the trees that are there are the very trees that make Manoa Manoa, those big, beautiful, overhanging, beautiful trees. You can't touch those trees. If they have to be taken down naturally, of course, but not, not for this. That's what we have to solve that, to put a roundabout there.
And is there any members of the community who want to weigh in on this or give feedback? Anyone online? All right, Member Sahio, please go ahead.
I just have one other quick comment before I forget. These traffic circles, at least based on the one they made in Kailua, they take near the store there, I forget what it's called. I read that it took a really long time. And all that traffic is going to get diverted down side streets so people can take shortcuts to get in and out of the valley a different way. That's going to put pedestrians and pets at risk. And it's just going to be a mess. And that's why we can't widen any of the 3 major access egress routes in and out of the valley, because if they had done it, they should have done it in the 60s when my dad used to worry that they were going to widen University Avenue. but they can't do it now because it would create a dire emergency right away if they tried to widen any of those roads. So to a lesser extent, that applies to this traffic circle and any other traffic circle in the major intersections in the valley. And I also don't want to see any trees taken out in this valley, not one.
You're certainly right about the one up in Kailua, but that's a much bigger intersection. And so one of the things that would have to be decided if the city were to receive this is whether they feel like spending the money, as Mr. Fox pointed out, or whether they can. You know, this reminds me of how you can tell the difference between scientists and engineers if you have a bunch of them in the room. The scientists are the people who go, hey guys, maybe we could do this. And the engineers are the ones who go, I'll give you 10 reasons why that won't work. Okay. We can use any one of our 10 reasons to kill an idea if we want to, but we'll be debating it next time.
Comments or questions before we close this item out? Anyone online? All right, looks like we're done with that conversation. So going now to item E. So this is with Member Bosel's request, donation trucks in Mānoa Marketplace.
Thank you. I wasn't sure whether everyone was aware, and I just thought it would be, this is my PSA, that the donation truck that's like over by Long's is not really a donation. You're donating to a for-profit organization that sends an infinitesimally small amount to then as a corporation, do a small donation. So it's not like if you're donating there, it's directly doing a very tangible good. And meanwhile, with the increased traffic that we've seen in the last few years in the A&B parking lot there, I just think it's interesting that it's essentially free space for another corporation to use with a pretty minimal impact in the community. And there are other places that people can donate. And so this is just my sort of like, maybe we think about asking A&B to not give that space to a different corporation. Thank you.
All right, any other questions or comments for Member Fox?
Wow, I really support that. It's like going to Savers, knowing that Savers is like 99% of the money goes to Savers Corporation. It doesn't go to a charity. On the other hand, I volunteer at the Assistance League of Hawaii at 1505 Young Street, right near the Korean Park. All of our donations come from the wonderful people of Mānoa, Nu'uanu, Aina, Hawaii Kai, top of the line goods, and we're cheaper than any other thrift store in the entire island of Oahu. So as Goodwill is up to $7 for a t-shirt, we're at $2. So please come into our thrift store. Remember, all the proceeds go to our children. We give them free clothing for school. We give them environmental programs. We give them reading programs. And all of us are volunteers. Nobody gets paid. So I'm just telling you, if you want to donate to the Assistance League.
All right, any other questions or comments? Oh,
One other thing, which is sometimes this just sort of dovetails with my other pet peeve, which if you know me is idling your car. And often that donation truck also is running an AC and a portable generator there. And so just potentially one other thing. And my personal plea to please not sit in the parking lot or anywhere and idle your car. You're polluting the air around you for your fellow people. Thank you.
All right, any last comments on that topic? Anyone online? All right, going to the next item, item F. This is approval of the Wednesday, October 1st, 2025 meeting minutes. We had to skip over it previously for time. So the minutes from our October 1st meeting, do we have a motion to approve those minutes?
I'll make a motion.
Bosel makes a motion.
Second
and-
that motion.
I heard Member Fox first, so Olson made the motion, Fox second the motion. Any discussion on the motion? Any Member Koff?
No, I just seconded the motion.
Okay. So any discussion, any suggested amendments? All right, not hearing or seeing anyone. Any objections to approving the October 1st, 2025 meeting minutes? Going once, going twice, hearing and seeing no objections, it passes by acclamation. Going to item G, approval of the Wednesday, November 5th, 2025 meeting minutes. Fox motions to approve. Do we have a second? And Zane seconds. Any discussion or suggested amendments for the November 5th meeting minutes? Going once, going twice. All right. Any objections to approving those November 5th meeting minutes as they are? Going once, going twice. Hearing and seeing no objections, they pass by the approval passes by acclamation. So both those sets of minutes are approved. And now report from the Proactive Solutions Committee, Member Moylan for item H.
Yes. So we had our meeting on December 17th. And the committee members are there as well as Citizen Tom Heinrich. And we, in addition to traffic circles, we discussed sidewalks. So there'll be something forthcoming for those members who are interested in sidewalks on Lowry Avenue. We'll have something for you soon. We also discussed the parking issue in our neighborhood, and we hope to cook something up for you on that. Another piece of work product you can expect is prioritization of the public right-of-way. And then, of course, there's the late lamented undergrounding of utilities issue that Member DeMarco was working on before he left. So we're going to bring that back. We have, like 5 of these things piled up, and we have enough sympathy for our chair that we will not put 2 of them on the same meeting.
All right, Member Sophia.
I would just like to publicly suggest that since, as far as I know, the HART board is going to be looking at the possibility of extending the rail to the UH Mānoa, which would blight the viewscapes from Waikiki and the Mauka communities in perpetuity. And I think part of what's happening here at this board is that some people want to accomplish things on behalf of the rail that might otherwise trigger some legal complaints that the EIS has been parceled, because they really should do a whole new EIS for the rail if they're going to extend it to UH. But maybe they won't have to if we get sidewalks, clear the cars off the road, get traffic circles going, and all these other things that might literally pave the way for the rail to come to UH and for our precious Mānoa Valley to be prepared for the onslaught. So I just want to publicly say that if we're going to talk about the rail and the consequences of the rail and preparing Mānoa for the rail, we should do it openly and transparently, not segmentally.
So I'll just note for the record, because you mentioned the HART board, that Member Moylan did at one point serve on the HART board. He resigned some months ago and is no longer on the HART board. In any case, do we have further discussion or comments on these issues? Anyone online? All right, seeing and hearing none, looks like we're moving. Oh, Member Bosel.
I'm just going to speak to what Ellen was, I believe, sort of insinuating and defend Member Moylan. I think all of his interest in these urban planning issues come from a genuine place, and it is not remotely related to secretive work on behalf of any other entity. I think he's genuinely passionate about parking and other issues related to urban planning.
Also, as a general policy for neighborhood board, you don't target or make accusations against the individuals either on the board or in the public. We talk very generally about these kind of matters. We don't actually insinuate or make claims that somebody is doing wrongdoing as a policy.
All right, no personal attacks, but go ahead.
I did not mention anyone's name.
Okay. All right, any further discussion on any of the Corrective Solution Committee topics. All right, going to our next item then, we're going to returning business. We have reports on a few different projects and potential projects here. So first, item A, updates on Manoa Banning Court and Aria Lane. Do we have anyone who has updates on that? I don't have anything. Member Bosel?
I called DPP before our last meeting, which was canceled due to insufficient notice or whatever. And the one thing of note is that the person who shepherded that project through this sort of middle portion, for folks who are catching up, the first person who was in charge of the project at DPP, in charge of handling the file, passed away tragically, unexpectedly. And so the project then moved once the next, it only moves to a new person when something new has been submitted. And so then it was Jordan Dildy, I believe was his name. He has moved to a new department in DPP or elsewhere. And so now when the next stage happens, it will once again, unfortunately, at that point, be assigned to somebody new who will have to play catch up. So that's my little bit of info. I did call DPP this week. The supervisor who is not the one who's directly in charge of the project, but is very familiar with it, aware of it. He said nothing new, no new updates, no new submittals. We're at the point where, again, the next stage would be the submittal of the application. So no new updates other than when something does happen, it will go to a new person at DPP.
All right, any, Member Fox?
Yes, it just so happens we got word that the DPP is not accepting any permits anymore. They're on hold for a year. They have such a backlog. And so the mayor's office is telling us that we are just, you can't submit a permit request at this point in time at DPP. So I think this is, at least we're safe for a year.
It's possible, do you know whether permits and applications, because they're not at the permitting stage yet. They are at the application stage.
DPP is not accepting new application for permits. That was the message from the mayor's office. So it's to handle the backlog that they have, which is pretty severe. I mean, I'd love to have confirmation from the mayor's office about that, but that was what I was given.
I know Gavin Thornton here on behalf of the mayor's office. I know that DPP stopped accepting applications or permits for a week, but I've never heard anything about a year. So I don't think that's correct. And I think I would have heard. So yeah, I think it was just a week for them to catch up with their new system.
All right. And I see Member Kopp had hand raised.
No, it's nothing. He answered the question.
Oh, okay. All right. Any further discussion or any updates, any comments, anything on Manoa Banning Court or Aria Lane? Going once, going twice. Oh, Brett, go ahead.
I noticed that there's a traffic counter on East Manoa leading up to the triangle for Manoa Chinese Cemetery. So I wasn't sure if that was related to the Manoa Banning Court thing or not. Anyone know? Okay, anyway, thank you.
All right, anyone online? I don't think so, but all right. We're moving on to the next item then. This is updates on all-wide flood mitigation. Member Fukumoto, anything?
There really is nothing new, but it does appear that actually both the flood control project and the stormwater utility fee are, I wouldn't call them dead, but they're on life support only. And so that's where they are right now. Thank you.
Any comments or questions from anyone else on all-wide flood mitigation? Anyone online? Okay, moving to next item. C, updates on University Lab School and the proposed campus town project. I don't have any updates. I haven't heard anything from the project since last time. Does anyone have any updates on campus town or ULS? No one online. All right. moving on, working pretty good time to community concerns. So there's no specific community concerns that are listed on the agenda. So it's pretty much an open forum if anyone has anything they want to bring up. Do we have anyone who wants to? I see someone online. David S., please go ahead.
Chair Nakaji, residents in Lower Manoa, Zone 4, have learned that the Pahoa Ridge project has been approved and received financing from HSFDC, and that
So
they will
sorry. I'm having a really hard time hearing you. I
Yeah.
heard the words Pahoa
So-
Ridge project, but I didn't hear anything else clearly. So
Yes. Yes,
Okay.
but Pahoa Ridge has received its financing through the state, as I understand it. And they are quietly scheduled to start construction this year, 2026. Now, both the St. Louis, Kapahulu, and Manoa boards raised strong concerns about Pahoa Ridge. I'm going to suggest to the board that we engage the Kapahulu, St. Louis board, and also approach the McCully board because this project affects all three boards to raise and reiterate to the administration, the city and state administration, that the project will have an impact once it starts construction, as well as post-construction, to ensure that the continued monitoring of the project for many years to come is maintained to secure the satisfaction of the residents in the neighborhood, since it was characterized as being out of place for the neighborhood. As you know, it's going to be 28 stories high. That's almost the equivalent of the Contessa, the existing Contessa. So, and it's at the junction of the on-ramp to the
I'm sorry,
H1.
I'm sorry, your time is up.
Okay.
All right. Anyone else?
I just wanted to bring it up for next discussion.
All right. Anyone else with community concerns that they want to bring up? Bring pretty much anything. Brett, go ahead.
I don't know if anyone's noticed that there seems to be more cars parked along Manoa Road just by the Wiley Tea Room, right to the edge of the road. In other words, there's no space with cars parked there for anyone to, walk along the sidewalk, right? There's like across from Wiley Tea Room, there's a home that has like a little mini bus, tour bus thing. It's right up along the edge. If I was walking, I'd have to go into the road to walk around it. And then further up, there's, cars parked right along the edge. I'm just wondering, I would think the city owns that land, right? It's meant to be I think a sidewalk, even though it's not paved. So I just wonder if that's something that other people have seen as well, because I think that's a safety hazard. And it might be that they're parking on what is supposed to be non-parkable, area, so that there's a walkway. It would be to me, it's a safety hazard. And you want to nip it in the bud if that's the case. So anyway, I wanted to raise that as a potential concern.
All right. Member Sophia?
I just want to add to what Brett just said, because there seems to be a pattern of these things happening. A while back, I had called the police because someone was repeatedly parking a car at the intersection of Alaula and University. They would pull up on the cement there, on the asphalt, right near the corner, facing up into that that Sutton property that was clear cut a while back. And they'd have their car was like extending almost all the way out to the road. So it was almost as if they were intentionally blocking the walkway for people along the grass that would be coming around the corner from University or Alaula, either way. So I called the police, and I haven't seen that happening since then. I did the other day see that somebody had dumped a whole lot of stuff in the same location that made me think, oh, you know, is somebody trying to make people risk their lives by going out in the street? It's, you know, so I just think that if people see anything like that that's blocking a sidewalk, they should call the police right away and get it taken care of.
All right, thank you. Anyone else for community concerns? Be anything that was brought up already, or again, anything else that you want to mention? Going once, going twice. All right, looks like we don't have anyone else for community concerns, so we're getting down to the ending announcement. So next meeting, the next regular board meeting will be held on Wednesday, February 4th, 2026. It will be held in person at Noelani Elementary School cafeteria, as it was tonight. It'll also be held online via WebEx, and it will start at 6:30 p.m. So agenda items for the next meeting, people can email the chair at least a week in advance, preferably more than a week in advance, if they want to request items. There was a community member who requested that we have a discussion on CIP funding. So I do want to fit that in if we can in February, if not then in March. And Member Moylan, did you want the vote on the traffic circle in February? Okay. All right. Before we close out, any announcements that anyone wants to make? Going once, going twice? Anyone online? All right. A little rebroadcast will be on the second and fourth Saturdays of the month at 3 p.m. or every third Tuesday at 9 p.m. or online on the website or on the Honolulu Digital Archives. And we are adjourned. Good night, everyone. See you next month.